We in the bedroom.
You making OnlyFans? What's going on?
You guys saw that?
Yeah, we saw your OnlyFans setup.
You guys saw all that?
He got a lights in his room like this. I'm like,
yo, why is it? Looks mad crazy over there, bro.
The room. Oh shoot, guys, come on.
Nah,
I did not want to see that side of you. I did not want to.
Bro, I'm not trying to pay no membership fees, bro.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Village in the Streets. We are the Black Flames. My name is Dr. Griffs.
My name is Bam, and welcome back to the channel for another video. And today, guys, I am extremely excited because, when we have moments like this, I actually feel like we're an actual podcast and we know what we're talking about when we do these things. But today, guys, we have our second guest to the channel, someone that is a very close friend to both me and Dr. Griffs. But we don't just have him on here because he's a close friend. We have him on here because this man is making main character moves in his life. Shout out and welcoming introductions to our boy, Mr. Get Light.
Mr. Get.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I have been, a very good friend of, the both of you. But to see you guys create this platform to kind of like just talk about like your everyday life, talk about like how your real lives are applicable to like anime, the theme. It just goes to show that you guys have been evolving in your friendship, and I just want to thank you again for having me. Thank you so much. Really means a lot.
Yeah, bro, we appreciate you taking the time, man. We know you're a busy man, bro, but we appreciate you taking the time to come over here for this podcast. Dr. Chris, do you have anything you want to start off the podcast with?
Yeah, Mr. Get Light, we knew he had to be in our top 5 guests. When we were thinking about potential people we would like to have on our channel, there's a couple names that kept circulating, and Mr. Get Light was one of them. So we're grateful that you are finally on this show. But Mr. Get Light, can you give a quick summary about who you are, what you do, real quick, and maybe even how we met?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, so my name is Mr. Get Light. Like I said before, I'm a very close friend of Bam and Dr. Griffs. We met actually in college. Intro, I think it had to have been 2013. We did like an entry program.
ECO,
college,
turn up.
ECO 13, right? ECO 13 boys. And I think, the commonality was that we were all from New York City. And then I think from there, as the after the summer had gone on, I think as the year had progressed and we entered our freshman year, I got to understand who you guys are, who you guys were. And I think I always tell myself that I always surround myself with people who I feel resemble the values it is that I carry. So for the fact that, our friendship has gone on for this long, it just goes to show that we all share similar values. I also noticed that in our college journey, we were also going through like some dark times. And there were times where we were actually able to go into a setting and actually share those dark times with one another, share ideas, kind of like learn from one another. And I think that's how I even grew closer to you guys. So that's the story of our friendship. But just to tell you a little bit about my background, right now, so postgraduate, I work as a first responder in New York City. I work 911 at NYU Legon. So I'm out there saving lives. I'm out there.
Yes, sir. Hero stuff. Hero behavior.
Hero behavior, right? Thank you, sir. What a guess, right? What a guy. But so I'm out there saving lives, and I think with my time doing EMS, I would say like it allows you to learn a lot about the values of life. Granted, COVID, we all saw the effects of COVID-19. I've seen people, we all have people that were close to us that we've lost, but literally there was a time in healthcare where people actually didn't know exactly what to do, right? Protocols were changing, people were reusing masks. It's just like we see how how, when something is unprecedented, society, we're not able to cooperate, I would say. We're not, it's like we have to like rely on like human instincts, like what's important right now, like what, all these things. So I think it was very chaotic. I had to definitely persevere. When you're working front lines, you have to be the people saving the people who are sick. So there was a time that I had to persevere. I had to let go of my comfort, and literally put my life there on the line just to help other people. So yeah.
Wow, that was an introduction right there.
Yes, sir.
Perseverance. Yeah, I think that's the theme we were kind of thinking about for today's episode. Usually I have like long, drawn out into a transition somehow.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the idea of perseverance. I feel like there's always things in our lives we overcome, or just obstacles we constantly face. For me, it's getting out of bed in the morning. I ain't gonna hold you.
Yeah.
I know. I like to say that I get out of bed at the crack of dawn, 4:30 a.m. every morning to do a 5-mile marathon and then eat breakfast by 6. That's not me. I loiter in my bed until it's time to get up.
But yeah, I think that's and I think we can dive into this topic and kind of give all of our own individual experience with what it means to have perseverance. But one of the things I think about when it comes to persevering is understanding what is it that you really want, right? Because you're trying to fight for something in particular. The only reason why you're persevering is because you want to go through the challenging times you're going through to get to a certain location. And I feel like as you get older in life and as you start acquiring more responsibilities, as you start acquiring more, I guess, like higher standards of taste for life, then there's more things you have to persevere for. So Mr. Get Light, so what do you feel like is the driving thing that makes you get up in the morning to go to your job? Because right now your main course that you're on is the medical track, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is the thing that is like driving you to stay within that track? Because for everybody listening, most of us are very aware that the medical track is not an easy road for most people. It's one where you have to do a lot of testing, you have to do almost ungodly hours of studying and sacrificing sleep. You're already diving into the practical applications of the medical track, where you're literally out here on the front lines engaging with real life people, not theory or stuff people read in books, but you're actually seeing that theory come out into practice. So what is it that drives you to like, man, time to get up, go to the library, study for like 8 hours on this thing? And what also drives you to, man, gotta get up and hopefully prevent somebody from, exiting out of life? You know what I mean?
Thank you so much for asking me those two questions. So the first question, yes. So your first question was, what makes me want to get up, go grind library, right? I would say, Kristan, a lot of us have, when we look at like our beginnings, a lot of us have this desire to be someone, right? To be this person. Now, the thing about it is that in order to get to that position, or in order to be that someone, you have to go through a lot of things. Like, let's say, like criteria. You have to meet certain criteria. You have to advance and get to a certain stage. Grinding is a part of it. It's a part of the process to becoming that person. So a lot of the times, what motivates me to grind is, I tell myself every day, the more I grind, the closer I get to becoming the person it is that I want to be. In order for you to be that individual, you have to go through that process, that hard process. So if I'm not embracing that process, that means that I'm cutting back myself or drawing myself back from being that individual. Understand? You have to have certain qualities. You going through the grind is going to enable you to build those qualities for you to be that individual. You understand?
Yeah.
I would also say too that you have to study a lot, right? You got to know exactly what you want to do, right? And when you're becoming an individual, right, or you have a certain position, you want to be the best at that. You understand? So studying, right? Studying is just as important. You don't want to be, a doctor or a healthcare worker that doesn't know exactly what he's going to do. Literally, somebody's life is literally in your hands. So you need to make sure that you're equipped with every tool that's needed, right, to know about the human body, to know about the person, right, and how do you relate to that person, right, which goes into like the second answer, right, the second answer to the answer to your second question, right.
Mm-hmm.
So what enables me to also want to get up and grind and kind of save lives, right? Is that what you asked, Kristan?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I would say that you guys,
that's your people outside. Like,
I would say too, learning how to save a life, especially like when you are thrown under pressure. A lot of times, we see that like sometimes there's certain people, in society, people in general, right? Things can happen at any point in time, right? So a lot of times I ask myself, if I was supposed to be put in that situation, what would I do? Understand? A lot of times when people pass away, the question that's asked is, could I have done anything to help that person? And I think this goes back to when my godmother had passed away when I was in high school. She had like a stroke. She had an ischemic stroke in the brain, right? So essentially she started bleeding in the brain, and there was nothing that you could do. It was just like instant, right? So a lot of times, I attribute what I do now to that time. I ask myself all the time, like, was there anything that could have been done to save her, right? Did anybody know her healthcare issues, right? It was just an attack that just happened out of nowhere. She fell and that was it. And then the doctor said she was bleeding in the brain. So a lot of times when I go to work, I always want to make sure that whenever I meet a sick person, like I want to be able to predict like what's going on. I want to be able to intervene firsthand. That's what kind of like drives me. I want to be able to kind of like be that superhero, to any patient, that I come across. Because life, is valuable.
Yeah.
We only live one time. You can lose it just like that. So, I a lot of times too, I think about like my own family. I'm like, I also enjoy being an EMT because I want to make sure that, let's say, for example, God forbid I'm home, something happens to my own mom. I wouldn't have to pick up 911 immediately. I have the skills that's necessary, like the vital skills like CPR, right, how to maintain an airway. I can automatically intervene without having to ask 911 dispatchers, what do I do? So if you have those tools in your hands, you can use it to your disposition, like at any moment, at any point. So I think that's what kind of like inspires me to want to do this work, knowing that I have the ability to save a life, at any given point in time. There's a time that I was stopped on a train. A guy just collapsed,
Wow.
It had something to do with him taking medication and him also drinking coffee at the same time. It dropped his blood pressure. You understand? But the fact that they were like, hey, we need a first responder. I'm not the type to just jump and be like, hey guys, hey, I'm here. Superman's here, right? But they saw my uniform. They're like, hey, we need your help. And at that point, I saw the importance, with my role, in the role that I play as an EMT.
That's powerful, man.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
So knowing that you have the tools and you can do something to save somebody's life, especially like when it's pertinent, I think that's what, it enables me to wake up every day and feel happy with what I'm doing,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Mr. Getlight. Thank you for sharing that, bro, because it's like on the internet now, especially within like, I don't know if you ever heard this concept, the manosphere. There's individuals that are, flaunting what it means to be like a man or what it means to be that protector. And it's always about like flaunting cash, like how much money they're making and like how much girls they're getting. But it's like, that's why I like interacting with people that are like centered and value things correctly. I feel like every interaction I've always had with you, Mr. Get Light, has always been, oh, this guy values things correctly. Like, the most important resource we have is our life, you know, because without it, we wouldn't be able to engage in this thing we call life, right? And so it's like, to me, it's like, would you rather have thousands upon, like, how much, like, you know, a lot of money in your bank account, or the skills to be able to save your mom's life? That puts things in perspective really quickly. Like, would you rather to have like millions of dollars in your bank account, or the ability to, like, if your mom is having something happen to her, you immediately just be like, I got it, mom, don't worry, I got you, we're gonna make sure you're good. Now, thankfully we live in a time where you could have both, you know what I mean, you could have both of those things, but it's really important to prioritize what is really important. So thank you for sharing that, Mr. Get Light.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I had a phone call with Mr. Get Light a couple weeks ago, and like, he would just give me a whole bunch of life advice, or just like health advice. And after that phone call, I kid you not, I started wearing my helmet. I ride my bike. I ride my bike like every work day, right? And I'd be like, no hands, riding like this, just thinking, contemplating on life, blasting the music. I told him to get light. I said, you know what? I need to stop messing around. I started wearing my helmet now. And I'm a bit more conscientious about the food I eat. So I haven't made a full change yet. I haven't started working out completely yet. This is a workout chair. Like what was that? Like I'm making the right steps. So shout out to Get Light for trying to get me.
Hold on, workout chair. What are you talking about?
This is like a workout bench type thing.
Oh, is that actual like a flat bench that you could? Okay, yeah, got you.
Oh, I bought it a couple months ago and haven't used it like that in a minute. But the goal is there. I'm making steps.
You're making the progress. Making progress. Yeah, and I think there's also another part about perseverance is you got to go at the level in which you're at, you know? And so you do little things that matches up to the level in which you're at. So for example, me, I know it's important to make sure I'm properly hydrated throughout the day. So I'll buy like a bottle of water like this, fill it up. Yep, like Dr. Griffs right there, fill this up and just don't even think about it. Because, you know, if you don't have something like this, then you're like, all right, let me go get my 8-ounce cup of water, gulp, 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 gulp. And then like other time passes, gulp, gulp, gulp. But it's so easy in this modern day and age. So like not even, there's so much other substitutes we kind of intake for water that are not good substitutes for water. And being perseverant is like recognizing what you can do at the current point in time in which you're at, and just doing that and not trying to really ask for more than what's out of your capability.
Well, I think it's interesting about our group here is like we have like 3 different main interests. Ben, is it safe to say that your main interest is like YouTube and expansion of that? If that's your personal channel, or
yes, yeah, I have my career, which is as a front-end web developer. But in terms of what I enjoy front-end web development, but what gets my creative juices flowing and gets me sparking is this YouTube stuff, video editing, creating stuff online, and actually creating stuff online will be the ultimate wrap around. And I also love fitness, which is something that like we could talk about as well. But I just love this thing. I just love this online thing, the technology aspect of it. I love the fact that we live in a world where you could freaking make a living off of anything you enjoy. It's incredible to me. Of course, you have to be persistent and you have to put work towards that. But yeah, I would say you're right about that, Doctor.
And Mr. Get Light, is your main focus like, I guess it's kind of similar, like medical health fitness? Is that kind of like your main focus is, Mr. Get Light?
Yeah, in terms of like my interests, yes, I would say a lot of it has to do with fitness. I do love fitness. Health, in terms of like my job as EMT and my trajectory and being like a healthcare provider, and also I would say like like inspiration, like faith-based inspiration. I'm very big on, my faith. I'm not afraid to say it, like I love Jesus, I'm a Christian. But yeah, it revolves around those three things. Yeah.
I even say Mr. Get Light should be like a personal speaker, personal trainer.
Yeah, it's funny when me and Dr. Griffs were talking about the creation of this podcast. Like, one of the things that me and Dr. Griffs kind of went over is we immediately thought about Mr. Get Light, because as you guys can probably tell from this podcast, he's got one of those voices that just hits you. You know what I mean? It just
DJ.
Like, there's too much testosterone in his voice. Like, it's like like, you can't deny it.
And his laugh is just iconic.
Yeah.
Oh man, if only you guys could see my face. Oh man. Yeah.
Oh man.
And my main interest right now is more like music focused, if that's DJing or like live music. Oh, no. I mean, I'm trying to learn how to play piano. I'm trash right now, but I'm getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And music creation. So it's interesting seeing how we're kind of split.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you... Bam, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You've been doing this YouTube for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many hours would you say on like a good week for you creatively would you say you put into this?
On a good week for me creatively, if nothing like family wise comes up or a hectic work week comes up, it's got to be like anywhere between 15 to 20 hours extra I'll put into video work. That includes recording videos. That includes planning out what videos I want to do. That includes the research for the videos. That includes the editing process. Because I was actually having a conversation with my girl, and we were talking about how there's some things in life where you have to like really work at and struggle through. And I told her like, I'm kind of going through life trying to make life such that I enjoy everything that I do, right? And then she's like, you can't do that. And I was like, I'm literally doing that. And then she asked me like, well, do you enjoy making YouTube videos? And I was like, yeah, I do. You know what I mean? Like, but some videos will take like maybe 3 hours to make. Other videos may take 7 hours to make, just because while I'm working through it, you're having those creative juices and you're just like, you're just like, oh shit, let me put this in here. And then that one thing that may last like 3 seconds takes you a whole hour to actually make and work. But ultimately I find it worth it. It kind of sucks when the views don't match it. That's just part of the game. But yeah, that would be my thing. And I know for Dr. Griffs, you kind of have your music creation type stuff you're going through, so maybe you have a similar mentality when it comes to that as well.
Yeah, for me, so like I might have like a gig coming up. If I'm DJing, that takes top priority in terms of like outside of work, what I do, because I have to like gather the music, organize the music, listen to the music, understand the music, see where it could fit naturally in my other music collection, and then practice and practice and practice. So that might be several hours just leading up to the actual gig that might last a few hours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if I don't have a DJ gig coming up, the ideal me,
yeah,
the ideal, most efficient version of myself, I am doing some piano practice. So like I subscribe to different piano training things, and I also subscribe to like a beat making thing. So I do some piano practice, some beat making practice, and then I'll actually create a new sound. If it's like a remix, that's ideally I'd be DJing events with my remixes, or it might be an instrumental that I might use for this podcast. So that's where my time is split when I'm being the most creative, ideal form of myself. And that could be hours. Like I think this has been several times where I sat in my room or stood up. I have a like standing or sitting desk. I've been there for hours just chugging away, trying to get the hi-hats right, and yeah. And I'm Mr. Get Light. you had a pretty shocking physical like change since I first met you to where you are now. Like, banner to the Hulk.
Yeah, definitely. You want me to tell you a little bit about that, or how many hours I invest?
Yeah, a little bit about that. What got you interested? Like, what's that process been like for you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I would say that everyone's story is different. I may have had like a villain introduction. I'm playing, guys. I'm playing. But I think that everyone's journey is different. I had a pretty dark beginning with how I started it. I would say that my first heartbreak is what stimulated this interest in fitness. I needed to find a way to just get over that heartbreak, and I said, what is one way that I can match this emotional pain? And I said it has to be physical pain. That was the only way for me to see, like, okay, tangibly there will be results coming out of it, right? So I said that if I'm able to take all this emotional pain and pump and use iron, right, to kind of like get through this, in that way I would I'd be getting something out of it, right? So that's exactly how it started. And I guess when I started seeing the results, I started saying, hey, you know what? Like, I've never seen this potential. I've never seen this much growth before. I've never seen myself do this before. So I was like, let me see how much more I can do. And it came to a point in time where I guess I did too much. And my mom was like, okay, Papa, you need to stop. You need to stop. You're getting too big. But one thing also that motivated me too was the fact that it helped me build community. And I know, Kristan, Bam, I noticed that during that time, during that the introductory stage, you were there. You were definitely there, and I just remembered that when I told you about what had happened, and I guess you saw the drive for the gym, you were like, you know what, Calvin, I'm just gonna join you. And then it became a point where we kind of like created this chain link, right? And I think we called it right. I think we called it do you remember what it was called? The
dang,
the chain link.
I know what you're talking about. Like, we kind of like
Gym squad.
Gain squad. Yeah, like we had like a whole WhatsApp, and like
exactly.
Dr. P was on it too. Yeah,
exactly. So I think the fact that it started to build community, and I was able to relate to a lot of guys who had similar interests in going to the gym. That's what stimulated this interest in fitness for me. Then that was during undergrad. Then after undergrad, mind you, that network that I had, right, or that group that I had, was no longer really there. So I was like, how do I continue this? So I now took that back home, and I had started with getting kids from my church to be interested in fitness, and they started coming out with me to the track, to the point where even my mom, when she saw all these people coming to the track, I started doing this thing on Instagram where I was like it's counting the number of days that I can go, like a streak that I can go with exercising. People were just like, I want in on this. So even I got my mom to come out at some point, and just seeing how much impact I had on her, someone that doesn't like to go outside, someone that doesn't like fitness, seeing her become so motivated to say, you know what, Papa, I want a 6-pack too. It really, yeah, my mom really, she said that at some point, and I was like, I think I found at least a part of my identity here in fitness, and seeing how I can impact people through my interest in exercising.
Heard you, man. Because there's a quote. I'm probably gonna misquote it, so I'll just paraphrase it. But its greatness doesn't come from doing one amazingly great thing. Greatness comes from doing mundane, regular things for a consistent period of time.
Consistency is the word right there.
Consistency. Like, it's like when you think about when we go regular schmegular workout, right? It's very simple. It's very simple. It's very like, you do the weight that you're able to do, or you do the progression that you're able to do for a certain amount of reps, sets, this many times a week. And within 3 months, you start seeing little changes for yourself. Within 6 months, other people start seeing changes on you. Within a year, people start being like, oh man, you work out within 3 years. It's like you can't hide it from people anymore. It's like everyone knows he works out, you know, no matter what clothes you wear. Because at a certain point, you can't buy for me to hide, you know, the muscles. It's like I would have to get an XL shirt, right? And then you just see like this big dude walk around with an XL shirt baggy. Is like, what is he hiding? Like what, you know? It's like, but greatness, or what people perceive as greatness, and you could take that not just in fitness but in every industry, right? YouTube is like, you just make a video, you make videos on topics consistently, you try to be in line with YouTube's guidelines and like your whole marketing, blah blah blah, all that other stuff, and then eventually you go to a point where people are like, oh my gosh, you have that many subscribers, oh my gosh, you're living that kind of lifestyle. Same thing goes with any career path. Same thing goes with like medicine. Same thing goes with like being a DJ. I assume with being a DJ is like you kind of have like a thing that you do consistently that kind of helps you stay like built. Because right now, like me and Mr. Get Light can attest to this, saying like me and him saw Dr. Griff's progression from how he started being a DJ, and it's like, whoa, the skill set now, man, is insane. Right?
Thank you for the kind words. But yeah, it was DJing. There's different type of events you could DJ. You could DJ a party where people are, you know, there, and you're the primary source of entertainment, and like you're the source of entertainment. You're the main thing that they're going for. Or there's like events where like you're the background music, and they're vending, they're going to different things. All these different paths are important. I guess in a way, a wedding, you're kind of in between. Like you're not the primary source. Like you're primary source of entertainment, but you're not the main focus. It's the bride and groom. But it's a lot of doing the events, learning from the events, as well as just actually practicing, listening to new music, listening to old music, listening to current music, and seeing where the trend might be going musically. Just listening around, going to different. Hearing different DJs, there's a lot of learning.
Yeah, but guys, it's getting to that time where we need to be wrapping things up because we got things we got to do after this. So, final thoughts on the concept of persistence. If you have any advice to like maybe your younger self or anyone else listening to this podcast, your own personal view on what it takes to be persistent, your ideas behind it, any tips or tricks you kind of want to hand to people. Go for it, guys.
Ooh, sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Well, I think it starts with making things easier for yourself. So for me, in my room, I have like a DJ section, so it's easy for me to just get to it, press start, and it's ready to go. Similarly, I have like a music section where it's like I just press start and it's good to go. I might have to unplug or replug some cables, but I'm not starting from scratch. No pun intended. I'm not starting from scratch. So I think making systems that are easy for yourself. Also, like my clothes are pretty similar. I might wear like a red variation of the shirt or a blue or green. So I don't put a lot of mental energy into getting dressed because I just have different, you kind of see different colorways in the background right here. So I think making as many easy choices as possible makes it easier for you to like, okay, I just got to stand up and go over there. Okay, I just got to roll out of bed. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the most practical advice I can give you.
Yeah, I really resonate strongly with that because like it's about energy at the end of the day. Like I kind of have this idea that most people aren't lazy. It's just that they lack energy, or they're just not wise with how they should be with their energy, right? Kind of like how you have some people that are wiser at budgeting with their money compared with the other people. Some people are wiser at budgeting their energy comparatively to other people. So like I think that's a very wise way to go about it. Like you made an investment of your time initially to create systems in place so that you minimize the amount of energy it takes you on a daily basis to get dressed, to get to work, to get set up. And so it's like you have more energy. You have more energy for those things because you're not wasting and being like, get up in the morning, I'm like, dang, what should I wear? Mental energy. Dang, let me get into my DJ setup mode. All right, I gotta move my thing here, gotta unplug that. It's like a lot more energy. And so on days where you may be feeling off or not as energized, maybe you had a trash night's sleep, or your diet has not been on point, you'll have less energy to work with. And so doing something that is higher energy and you just don't have the energy available to you, your brain's gonna be like, Netflix though. It's right over here, you know?
Can you guys just restate the question one last time?
Oh yeah, for sure. So basically we're closing out. Want to close out on our ideas of what it takes to be perseverant, and if you have any tips or tricks for individuals listening, or even for your past self that you would like to convey to a version of yourself in the past about what it takes to be persistent, how's easier ways to be persistent, and ultimately be consistent on the things you're trying to achieve in your life.
So what I would say about just being persistent, right, or let's say the topic on perseverance, I would say always with anything, especially that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Right? I think the core thing here is just about knowing what your passion is. Understand? Knowing what really drives you every day. And I believe too that do the best you can with what you have. And I tell you, just like what you said, Kristan, earlier, you said greatness, right, is achieved when we're doing things consistently, right? The most mundane things that we could think of, but we're doing it consistently. I think that is what's going to help you build your passion. It's going to help build your drive, right? Especially like, especially, let me just break it down like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember this quote that I said in college, right? About, you being able to stand out as a person, right? And it goes like this. So if you're passionate about something, right? And you see that everybody in the room is passionate about the same exact thing. When you're seeing everybody in the room sit, what do? You must stand, okay? When people are standing, you must what? You must stand out.
Okay.
When everybody in the room is standing out with the same exact passion that you have, you must make sure that you are being outstanding.
Oh, okay. Yes, sir.
Essentially, you just want to make sure that you want to always make sure that you ask yourself, with the passion it is that I have today,
mm-hmm.
did I do it to the best of my ability? Did I work at it to the best of my ability? Was I the best at it? You always want to make sure, because that's your craft right there. You want to be the best at it, right? You're not comparing yourself to anybody else, but you're comparing yourself to yourself. So I would say, find small ways in order for you to put a drive for what you're passionate about. And I'm pretty sure that at some point, right, in the process, you'll become that outstanding person. You'll become that outstanding person. So that's the little that I'll have to say about persistence, about perseverance. Just work with what you have and do the best it is that you can do with whatever it is that you're working with, or whatever it is that you have.
Yeah.
Try to be out.
Thank you, Mr. Getlight. Really appreciate that input you gave to us. Now, this would not be a Village Hidden in the Streets podcast if I didn't make at least one anime reference in the video. So, one thing I'll add to this conversation, about persistence that I kind of found for myself, and I think within one of your stories you mentioned, Mr. Getlight, you kind of referenced to this, because that heartbreak thing, experiencing heartbreak. It's a very powerful thing. It's a very powerful sensation a person can go through that is quite disheartening, quite frustrating, but it can be also very powerful, because it can give you, like, I remember when I went through heartbreak as well, like, I was hitting the gym twice a day. Like, I just Like I just like, yo, this pain I'm experiencing here is way better than what my brain was going on. So like what I kind of gained from that, and kind of like different ways of how I assimilate it into my life, is frustration is a very powerful source of energy to put into your drive. And my advice to people, or my advice to my younger self, I'll say, because what do I know? So my advice to my younger self is, don't try to run away from frustration, because there's so much things in our life, there's so much things in our modern day life that helps us to mitigate and soothe that frustration, right? We have Netflix, we have fast food, we have video games, we have a whole bunch of stuff that's in our lives that allows us, like, oh, you feel frustrated, you feel uncomfortable, man, don't forget about that. Just marathon through this new series that came on Netflix. Don't think about it. You feeling frustrated, you're angry that things aren't working out at your job, or like you're not gaining the gains you want at the gym, forget about that. Forget about McDonald's right over here, man. Get yourself a McFlurry and the Mac chicken and fries. There's a lot of things in this modern day time that pulls us away from our frustration, right? And it makes sense, because we as human beings, we are designed to go the way of least resistance, right? Because our goal is to end our frustration. We want to live lives that are fulfilling, peaceful, and fun and enjoyable. But some things are routes that lead you to a dead end, right? Like if I have a project I have to work on and I'm frustrated by the project, I have option A, which is take that frustration and be like, get mad about it and be like, man, why do I not understand this piece of code right here? And start using that energy to research and look up different stuff. Or I could go option B, which is, man, I'm frustrated. Let me play my PS5 for like 2 hours. It's so I think it's important to see frustration as more of a tool, because I do believe that there's so much things in our lives that kind of take us away from doing what we have to do, because it advertises as a source of pleasure and enjoyment and a relief for us. And it's important to have like a good balance when it comes to that. But yeah, guys, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to my boy, Mr. Get Light, for coming through to the podcast. We really appreciate your input and just sharing your experience with us, man. And I know some things you said, definitely a younger version of myself would have loved to hear. And you definitely put out a lot of good nuggets in terms of mindset, in terms of just focusing on what's important, and very inspirational, man. And we just want you to know that we appreciate you, man.
No, I appreciate you guys too. I appreciate the fact that you guys had invited me to be a guest on what you guys have as a very good platform. It's amazing that I pray that it thrives, and I pray that you'll continue to touch more lives, through it. I believe that everyone has a talent, and I can see this being as something that you guys will probably called to do. It's definitely a skill set that you guys have built without you even recognizing it. And I'm grateful. I'm also very grateful for your friendship. You guys have added a lot, and I encourage that all the listeners here, you guys, continue to tune into their channel. Continue to hear these guys out. They're very wise men. I call Bam wise man, Black Socrates, for a reason. He has a lot of wisdom that I feel like he can share with the world, and a lot of people can benefit from. And Dr. Griffs, you just have a lot of charisma. You're very humble. You have a lot of charisma. You have a very bright smile. You know what I mean? And you attract a lot of people. So I just want to encourage you guys to continue to keep that good energy. Don't let anybody dim your light down. All right, and maybe that's one piece of advice I'll give to people, to the audience as well. Don't allow anybody to dim your light. Right. One quote that I'm always reminded of is our greatest fear. Now, our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Right. That quote I definitely would suggest that you guys look that on up. I haven't memorized the entire thing, but reading through it just reminds me that we were all made to stand out, and we were all made to make manifest the kingdom of God that's within us, right? Our lights. So yeah, continue doing what you guys are doing. It's amazing, and I hope that in the near future, this podcast will boom. This podcast will blow up, and people will also recognize who you guys are.
Yo, I appreciate that love too much.
You got to give credit where credit's due.
Oh man, yeah.
Well, thank you all for watching. Feel free to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll have links to our individual channels in below. And if there's any way to reach out to Mr. Get Light, we'll also have that in the link if he wants that as well. So thank you all for watching, and until next time.
Next time. Peace.
Guys, thank you.